When the Celtic Tiger hit, to get a horse was like buying an MP3 player or a new game for their kids, and they were paying ridiculous amounts of money for basically mail order horses. You know, if Polly wanted a pony that was, you know, a certain type and shape and whatever, Polly got the pony for I don't know, stupid money. And once the bottom hit, nobody had money for these lovely accessories, because that's all they were, was accessories. You know, people had very little knowledge about horses. They didn't know how to look after them, and so that was the first thing to go, was the pony or the horse, or you know. The charity came about because a couple of the local people, a couple of our friends, were noticing an increase in dead horses found on the Roxburgh Commonage in the Slivokty Mountains, just south of Loughrea. And they were at a loss as what to do about it. A lot of these horses wouldn't be used to being out in the wild. They'd be used to being, you know, hand-fed and hand-reared and you know, in a loving, sort of caring environment. So to leave any of the horses out on the mountain, people think they're doing them a favour by letting them off, you know, somewhere in an open area where it's grassy and green and beautiful, but that's not the case. They're just not able for it. So what's been happening is horses have been let off up there, they've been interbreeding, and the numbers are just escalating because none of the horses are castrated, which creates a huge problem. So really something needs to be done quickly. You know, we need to have enforcement of passporting and microchipping of horses as soon as possible, because the number of equine in this country is more than we can cope with.
Come over here. Good girl. Hey, Mrs. Pig. Oh, no, use the bucket here.
Go on, Tootie. Tootie Kaluti.
Get the grey mare to come there as well, Kevin. Because we're missing two foals here.
I moved to Ireland just over 2.5 years ago, and I met Eileen and the gang through a riding centre, and that was my first introduction to horses, and I have to say I absolutely fell in love with them. And when Eileen suggested that Eileen Naughton is the founder of the charity, and when she suggested that we set up the charity, I immediately jumped at the chance to tackle sort of the issues up on the mountain. We didn't have a clue about how we were going to go about it, or what was going to happen, or what we'd have to deal with. But I think everybody in the group were quite horsey people anyway, and had dealt with horses, had a lot of knowledge and background with horses. So we decided that night that we would set up the charity, and that's how Forgotten Horses was formed.
I would like to send your own. That's why I wanted to send Mrs. Tootie and Tara. To the little black one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The two little white ones.
Yeah.
I wanted to send them. They're only farts, like, and they'd be easy to walk up and down the road, and do you know what I mean? They'd be easy managed down there. Anything else? Do you know what I mean? Unless you have one of my horses.
No, it's just the other little field. My one is fine.
But sure, them foals are used to be up in the mountain there.
It'll be fine.
Is it rough or something?
It's just old rock, you know.
Ah, that'd be fine.
But sure, it's Maureen's rock.
It's easy.
Yeah, is it the same as Maureen's?
Same, it's next door.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine. Okay, no bother.
They'll be fine.
So you want to go where then over here?
Eileen is a horsewoman through and through. She's known horses all her life. She's been involved. She's had her own equestrian centre, riding centre. She's dealt with horses from a young age. She's very passionate about the care and welfare of the animals, and she's a vast knowledge of them. So she's the best person really to be involved in the charity, and of course she was the founder member, and really we all look to her as well for inspiration and advice. So she's the best person really to be doing the job.
Good girl. And hold. Good girl. And walk on again. Walk on again. Good girl. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. And hold. Clever lady. It just takes a long time, you know. If you have something that comes in that you have as a foal, you know, you're handling it all along. She's 4 years old now, so she would never have had any handling before. So it just means that it's going to take a lot of time and patience and whatever. But she's actually going to be a lovely mare because she has no badness in her, you know. You see, she's getting used to, even this morning now, because I hadn't done something with her for a couple of days. When I touched her this morning, even on her neck, she wasn't one bit happy. Whereas now she's letting me touch her all over and her backside and everything. And even when I was doing her belly this morning as well, she was giving me little cow kicks, you know, a little kick up onto the belly. So you just have to be on your toes. Not badness, it's just that she's never had anyone touch her in the places that you're touching her, you know, and she just needs to get used to the fact that it's actually enjoyable rather than, you know, that you're actually trying to do something to her, you know.
Our first port of call was trying to find out who owned the horses, if anyone at all. We soon learned that the horses actually mostly were either stray or abandoned horses, that they didn't really belong to anybody. There was just a handful that belonged to a few people who had shares on the commonage. So once we had that information, we could then, we contacted the local county council and the Department of Agriculture, and we worked with both of them to remove the horses that were in urgent need of care.
Come on. Come on, boys. That's it. Come on, boys. Come on. Come on, good girl. Come on. Come on with your family. Come on. Come on, good girl.
Oh, guy.
Yeah, just try to get the right holes into the right. It's where we had a big farm or something.
Everything was a long moving for 6 acres.
I feel like I'm a full-time farmer now.
What you call him? Aidan O'Brien wouldn't have walked out as many horses this morning.
We have in our care at the moment 11 horses. 2 mares. We have 1 new foal that was born just 2 weeks ago, and she's absolutely beautiful. We hopefully have new homes for those 3 as well. We have a stallion that was injured a couple of months ago, and he's doing absolutely brilliantly. He had a big cut in his chest, and we brought him off the mountain. It was very touch and go whether he would survive. We had the vet out, he patched him up as best he could. We kept our fingers crossed.
He was in complete shock when the girls came in to him. He was actually, you know, going into shock, proper shock. They managed to load him anyway, and we got him back here to the stable, and he was just shaking, you know, just vibrating. And we actually thought, when I got down on my knees and I saw the wound, I thought that we were going to have to put him down. I really didn't think there was any hope for him. But we got the vet out anyway, and we got him sedated, and we knocked him, and she operated on him and stitched him up and whatever. And his healing power was just unbelievable. I mean, after 3 weeks, There was barely anything, and now there's you would never have known. You'd never know if he was ever had the injury. You wouldn't. If you could get between, I don't know whether you'll actually, you won't even see anything anyway because it's so. It was actually just under his elbow there. You see there where the little white mark is. Yeah, and behind his leg you'll see a little white mark. Do you see it just there? A little white, that's it. That's all that's left of it. I mean, his healing power. That's the important bit about the microchipping and the passporting, and if that had been done and had been enforced, or people had actually done it when the law came in 2009, then there wouldn't be the issue of abandoned horses and feral horses in commonage areas and forestries and bogs and parks around Ireland, you know. So I suppose that's one of the things that we would be encouraging the department to do, is maybe set up some kind of a scheme where people could get more cost-effective, you know, microchipping and passporting. You know, it would go a long way to soften the problem, because it's like you know, the microchip legislation that's come in for dogs now. Yes. That's all got to do with people taking responsibility for their animals. So, say for example, if every horse in the country was microchipped, there wouldn't be a problem. So, if you went up and people wouldn't abandon their horses in places like that because they knew they'd have culpability. You know what I mean? That you could find out who they were. You see, with the whole passporting system in Ireland as well, even though it's been there, they had like a few different bodies. They didn't have one central database for the microchips, which caused problems as well. So, because it was such an issue to try and find an owner, because there wasn't just one place that you'd contact.
We have volunteers who go up daily almost to monitor the area, and it's a huge area. It's 2,400 acres, so we constantly need new volunteers to come in and maybe donate 4 to 6 hours of their time per week. We have been fortunate, and we have got a great team as well who work tirelessly. Everybody has jobs. It's purely volunteer based, and the volunteers that we have at the moment are just brilliant. They put in all their time and effort and go beyond the call of duty, which is great.
No, do you want to walk on with me? Shut in. Somebody needs to know.
Good
Bite
girl. We're going to try and handle some of the older ones, like Esther's doing, and even some of the younger ones, just get them handled so people can sort of get close to them, and see if we can get them rehomed, either adopted or fostered. But it would be easier to get the older ones rehomed instead of the younger ones, you know.
Want to pay attention? When you take the horse in front there. The first ones,
The first
they
one.
went up to Holly's Horse Haven in Omeek. So Holly's have agreed to take 6 into their rehabilitation programme. So hopefully they'll take 6 more in a couple of weeks.
We have been fundraising constantly since we set up the charity, and we hold a fundraiser between every 6 weeks and 8 weeks. We have held everything from poker nights to quiz nights to an Indian food night. We did a gig last week in Oramore. We are just constantly trying to come up with new ideas to fundraise.
You hear my child anywhere.
I said we can hear them anywhere coming up.
That way!
Just for the time being.
Another one of our aims is to try and rehabilitate some of the horses that are that we're able to that would be good for riding ponies, or that people can use in a school or whatever way. So at least they have some sort of quality of life. They're being used. They're being looked after. We have our own adoption policy in place, and a fostering policy as well. And all our details of this on our Facebook and website, so people can get in touch with us that way and see if they're suitable. I think to offer a home to one of them, instead of going and paying 600 or €1,000, when you can be helping by saving one of our horses or one of the other charities, would be a great thing to happen.